Well, hello everybody, and welcome to Morning Friends with R.O.T.N.
This is an ambulance.
That is
Who's
not.
in
This is a
trouble?
garbage ambulance.
Oh,
Wait, again?
Yeah, and welcome to Morning Friends with R.O.T.N. R.O.T.N. R.O.T.N.
The IV's ready. We're going to
The
the
IV's
ticket.
ready. What are you doing?
Where do I
Ivy?
stick it?
Oh, get
Definitely.
go.
Come here, come here,
Don't
give me your
touch
name.
me.
Give me your name.
Not me.
What?
Mama died in the snow out there in the wood. We ain't never seen her again. She went out for milk.
I can't feel if I shit myself or not.
It's so cold here, we're all freezing to death.
There's a polar bear.
That is a damn ridiculous ass polar bear. That polar bear's got
They
the damn
ate a penguin.
Tourette's.
How are we ever gonna get out of here?
They've been here for nary on
It
20
smells our
20
shit.
days. And
It's
it
coming
smells
after our
smells
butts.
grim shit because it's frozen. The fuck?
Run!
I'm done.
Oh, it's crazy time with the Rottens.
Crazy
How are y'all
time.
doing today? We're all crazy today. What
How
we gonna do?
all sugared
That's
up
right.
in our
We're
bones.
sugared up in our bones. We got diabetes.
Diabetes.
Sugar chaos.
We're
Diabetes.
gonna lose at least 2 feet today. Fuck.
And 5 toes.
It's so sweet.
It's
Yeah,
about as sweet as damn sour dick.
What? Ew.
Go to hell.
Okay.
City of Chaos, a year ago placed under siege by the pathetic Commander Chaos. He feeds on souls, such willing victims and yet such wasted potential. Oh, I'm Lucian, your new lord. We won't waste your willingness on just a worthless soul. How barbaric. Instead, we will bleed this city dry.
City of Chaos, located in East Aboga, Alabama. Opens every Friday and Saturday starting September 23rd. From 7 p.m. to midnight, we offer 3 spooky attractions: the Haunted City of Chaos and Tunnel 109, the ever-so-creepy Shooting Gallery, and the Chaos Convoy. Come have the experience of a lifetime at City of Chaos.
All right, everybody, and welcome to Morning Friends with R.O.T.N. We hope you're having a great morning this morning. Today we have a very special guest. He is one of us. It is Raz T Slasher.
Yes, we have the amazing author and haunter. Welcome, Raz.
Welcome, Raz. So good to have you.
Yes.
In the words of the man himself, hey.
So how are you, Raz? I'm glad you're here.
I am exhausted because we opened our haunt this past weekend, and holy shit, man.
Oh, yes.
It is tiring.
I can't believe y'all opened this weekend. There are not that many down here that opened that early. We got to go to one, but there's like maybe 5 altogether.
I'd say realistically about an eighth of all Ohio haunts open either on the very last weekend of August or the first weekend of September because the market is just nuts here.
God, that sounds taxing.
It is because we get to do this for 2 full months, and sometimes we'll even be like, oh, you know what? Let's add another weekend or 2 on, or we open for Christmas and Valentine's Day, and all that extra stuff too.
Oh, man, I get it. So many things keep getting tossed around in our haunt, too. Like all these ideas of things we need to do, and it's like, oh, God, okay, let's do it.
Oh yeah,
I'm
the
gonna
good.
get that.
It's nuts, dude. But the good reason to open like the in the very beginning, 'cause most reviewers won't even start coming through haunts until close to mid-September. So you kind of get like that working dress rehearsal for the first 2 weekends to kind of test everything out, make sure everything's going as it's supposed to, give some more tips to your actors and that sort of stuff. So I mean, it's helpful for us that way.
Nice. Yeah, and I
Yes.
can definitely see that as a pro. The problem with most of the haunts here is if they opened at the beginning of September, they would run with a fucking skeleton crew.
Yeah, yeah. We went through a lot of problems, but that's also the good thing that we're only open on Friday and Saturday. It makes it a little bit easier, except for like most small towns. Local football is huge, and local football
Yep.
nights are Friday nights. So
Yep.
yeah, we get that too. We get a lot of kids that will only do Saturdays. A lot of us adults, we work both days, or we get our customers that they won't come in until late Friday after the games, or then Sundays or Saturdays are days that we're just swamped.
Fridays are primarily our low days on our Friday, Saturday haunts for sure
Yep.
around here because football is massive here.
Way too
Yep.
good.
Oh yeah, man, it's crazy, and you can always tell when they're at the game too, because they'll come in the jerseys and like you'll just
Yeah.
like fun to the door, like right like an hour before we close. We sell tickets until midnight, so that means you can buy it at 11:59, and if we got a line, we just got to run them through.
Damn.
I feel that.
Yeah, the haunt people here would definitely be like, "Oh, we're taking that money. You better
Oh
fucking
yeah, yeah, exactly. We want the money. We need your money.
So, tell us a little bit about the haunt that you guys work at and what the name of it is, where it's located at, and what you got going on out there.
All right. Well, Hell's Dungeon is conveniently located in Dayton, Ohio, in the Easttown Shopping Center. You can find us at survivehellsdungeon.com. Where it's kind of hard to classify our haunt because we're not like a super like in your face like touch haunt, but we're not quite the family friendly haunt. We're somewhere in the middle, and I think there's a lot of things that we do that's quite different than other people. You won't find really many strobe lights at all, for example, in our haunt, which is not normal, especially for an Ohio haunt or most haunts really. But we do a lot of like strange lighting effects to kind of make you feel off center a lot. We just find a lot of interesting ways to use the music and the sound to create sort of a unique environment on top of the acting. And then of course you got all your layers of props and animatronics, and we put a lot of extra effort into giving like this year was like a month and a half, almost 2 months worth of training for the actors. It seems like just to get them used to their spaces, how to work in their rooms with the lighting, with their props. And we've kind of turned some animatronics almost into actors because of the way other actors interact with them. And we have one actor who's amazing who pretends to be an animatronic. So that really messes with people, man.
I love
Does that actor have a pay? I saw somebody pop up that was like animatronic Andy or something like that recently. And I'm wondering if that's such a cool idea for a character online. Somebody who's like, oh, I'm an animatronic.
I love it.
I'm really proud of this kid personally because he lives with me, and him and I have worked on this character for a while. And his name is Props the Clown because he looks and dresses like an old like clown animatronic from like the 50s or 60s, right down to like the red suit and vest, the gloves, and I mean he looks like this classic clown. And his scene partner pretends to sell him like he's an actual prop. And they'll have him walk up like, "Hey, bop it on the nose. If you think it's real, you just bop it in the nose." And the second they do, he stops his animatronic movement and just lets loose this laugh. And I'm telling you, somebody lost their bladder already.
That's actually a really genius idea to have as a stable character. That's badass.
Yeah, and he's a permanent character this year. Now this year he had a tough go last year, and this year he's coming back, and he's taking it to another level. And the whole Props the Clown thing, it's funny because his last name is Propes, and one of my fellow acting managers gave him the name Props the Clown without knowing what his last name was. So
that's awesome.
yeah. And my partner, one of my partners, he's a career clown. He's been doing this for almost 40 years. Robbie, he's one of the best clowns I've ever seen in my life. And for him to take another clown like under his wing, and like he gave the boy his own mask. He just helps him every step of the way, but building his props for him, and it's an amazing experience where you see that torch like just straight being passed.
Yeah, that's fucking awesome, dude. And you cannot get better like what do you call it, mentorship than from somebody who has literally been in the biz for that long. Like they have to know what they're doing.
I fully support and love when haunt actors take the new ones under their wing and help them out, show them the ropes, guide them, protect them, watch over them, things like that. Like that, it's really important to do.
Big time. I got a new section. The whole front section of the circus is now all mine. It's just the freak show now. I play this asshole named R.O.T.N that just wants your money. He doesn't give a fuck about you. But the people I take
his name's R.O.T.N. That sounds like us.
No, exactly. But he does not care. But I specifically only took people that had never really done any haunt acting whatsoever. So all the people, they're all brand new to this. And literally, Friday night was our family and friends night. And by the end of the night, I got to give props to Sam, Cameron, and Jessica, because by the end of the night, we were all in step. We'd finally finished all of our background, like all of our, like the history of our characters, how we met, what was going on, what our freak show was about. We were finishing that up while we were open. And by the end of the night, like everybody was just, someone dropped a line, the other person was right there picking it up off the floor and covering. Like we were just everywhere. And it's so insane to see that, where you see these people that are hungry to learn, that maybe don't think they're the kind of people that could be actors. Because Sam, when he showed up, he was just there with his friend. He didn't think he could be an actor. And this kid is just, he was insulting people right along with me by the end of the night, and it blew me away.
I love that. That is amazing. Like, good teamwork there.
Yeah,
All for it.
That's important to us. Like we know, you have to know when you're in a haunt that the room before you and the room after you gotta know your cues, your vocal cues, your action cues. Is there a prop there? You gotta go to the bathroom. Both sides need to know so they can cover you.
Absolutely.
And zoning is a huge thing for our management group, like specifically for the acting management, where we have charts. We know we can put people if someone's sick. Like we work with everyone. We train some people on multiple spots. We have floaters for each section on top of the permanent characters. Like we try and layer everything to make it as easy as possible on every actor, so they can just get the experience and just learn and have fun.
Well, yes, because teamwork and communication is key when it comes to haunting, and like the entire thing, it's supposed to work and flow together. And when that's happening, it's fucking beautiful.
And also, you're talking about building characters. I'd like to just like give you props, because you gave us this sheet about building a character, and man, it's fucking phenomenal. Like you can't go wrong with it. It's dead spot on. It was immaculate.
I appreciate that, dude. Like that was a lot of fun to build, because I use something very similar as a writer, except for mine is like 10 full pages with no blank spaces on the back. And I designed it after like what I would consider would be like an extended human version of a character sheet for like Dungeons and Dragons.
Nice.
So I kind of built it like that, and then for writing, and then sat down and thought, wait a minute, I can use this for the improv classes and for character development. And I think a lot of people either know D&D, or they understand a character sheet, or they like to answer silly questions that just without realizing it helps them learn something about their character. And I kind of put that all together, and just honestly, you guys over there and us doing it here, that was the test to see how that went.
Nice. Well, I mean, I'll tell you right now, dude, you've helped out a lot of people with those lists, because people don't even put that amount of thought into it. And when you're able to put something in front of them and go, hey, here's a layer that you're probably not paying attention to that would make your job so much easier.
It gives you that extra incentive to really think about things like that. It's important to have that in front of you too.
Yeah, and I think it's rewarding for people, because they realize they're a lot more creative than they thought they were, and that just gets them excited. And that's something, if anybody ever wants that, dude, that's just something I made just because I wanted people to be able to have something like that, because I didn't have anything like that when I was going into the haunt world, and there weren't a lot of people that were available to teach you the ropes back in the 90s. It was like the people that have been doing it like the 70s and 80s, and then all those people fell off, and the 90s really hit a new generation for haunters like everywhere. So we were like reassessing what the world was like doing haunting, and that was like 1994 that I started doing that, and we had to reinvent a lot of things, and you
can easily look at commercials from the 90s and see that change in all attitudes, like just across the board, because commercialism went through like some sort of a strange genesis where everything was suddenly extreme.
Exactly. I mean, and there's this one famous commercial, and it's a parody. It's a horror commercial where it's supposed to be about, I don't really know what it's about. Half the time it's about like some energy drink, and then it's like some kind of like pig skin food, and somehow these kids teleport and they fuse together and create this giant monster. It looks like guar.
That's actually a part from, if I'm not mistaken, the ABCs of Death.
See, I thought that was the case, but I hadn't seen that in forever, and I found it again the other day on YouTube, and I was showing my boy and my daughter, just kind of showing it to them a while back, and they went nuts, and that led to me showing them, like, finding a 90s playlist of how ridiculous the commercials were, and after they saw them all, they were like, oh, this skit makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah, there are so many things that we use when we make skits where I'll just go back and watch compilations of commercials from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Yeah.
And just be like, these are so fucking ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. Like I one of my favorites, it was kind of late 80s, but into the 90s, was the Upright Citizens Brigade.
Oh,
And
I love them.
and I know I did that one thing with you guys, that skit we did about what was it, the addiction to paranormal
Yeah.
games. And it was I just thought about, like, they did some stuff like that for that character, Little Timmy, that had the very large penis, and he wasn't aware of it. So I tried to take like that seriousness with this ridiculous situation. I'm honestly that's just how I that's how I am when I do shit like that.
I think my favorite thing that UCB did was when they were doing the Jesus and Satan like fighting on stage, and they had the exploding hearts.
Yes.
And they would be like out in public, and they would be yelling at each other, and then their hearts would just blow out of their chests.
Oh yeah. I can't remember if this one was Kids in the Hall or The State, but it was this skit where there was this guy named Walter who would always walk around and go, "I'll dip my balls in it." But then they did a version.
That was The State. That was
that's what I was thinking.
Oh God, what's his name? He's got a name sounds like a football player, but he's been in a bunch of stuff. But Madden, I think his last name was. But that shit was hilarious.
And then they did it at the Last Supper, and they're like, "Hey, come on, Jesus. Walter's gonna go dip his balls into things in the town square," and Jesus is just done with it. Like, he's
like, go fucking hang out with the balls guy. I don't care.
I love all that shit, man. I grew up on Saturday Night Live and SCTV from like when I was growing up, and I honestly Laugh-In too. Laugh-In,
Turkey Television from back in the day.
Yeah, can't forget about Minnie Pearl either, man.
Oh hell no, and even Hee Haw, man, from back in the day.
Yeah, like that shit was amazing.
So let me ask you about speculative. Hold on, I had this pulled up because I like this terminology.
Speculative horror?
Yes, I want to know about speculative fiction. Explain to me speculative fiction.
So speculative fiction is a general term. It encompasses a lot of aspects of horror, fantasy, sci-fi, and there's also sort of a bleed into the contemporary counterparts of that. When you think speculative fiction, you think of a story that is drawing you in. It's not just you're reading something. You're reading something where someone is engaging you personally and telling you a story. And a great example of that are creepypastas and the No Sleep subreddit. Those are big things. Because I know in the No Sleep subreddit that I do some stuff for here and there, there's rules we have to follow. Like, if I tell a story, it's got to be believable. So I can't say, "Oh, the world ended yesterday and I just had a taco," because I mean that's not. You can look out your window and see that the world has not just ended. So you have to like design these very like serious, like honest concepts. And it could be there's a monster under my bed, but I live in a small town with only a couple hundred people, so you're probably not going to hear about it. That keeps it more realistic. And I
always liked stuff like The Back Rooms, which recently came out, and The Sun Is Gone, which was like a video creepypasta.
Yeah, so the Backrooms have actually been around for more than a decade. It's just they were solidly, largely on Reddit for a long time until they just started kind of creeping out of Reddit. And nice. a lot of the biggest horror trends in the last decade, from like as low as like indie and below me, my level and indie, and like even like the big professional people, like even Stephen King does Reddit stuff. Like he does the Ask Me Anythings on Reddit, but like Reddit has really shaped the writing world. And mostly horror, but there's been a lot of influences with sci-fi and fantasy as well. And it's its own unique environment, but all that stuff is based on, hey, I'm reading this thing on Facebook. I wonder if it's true or not. And it just plays on that with realistic situations, real stories, characters that are so well developed, which is where that extended character sheet originally came from. Because if I'm writing a story, if I know everything there is to know about this, it's hard for me to get writer's block. Because I know anything this character is going to do and say. So if I write a weird situation, I'll know this character so well that I can that's what happens. Yeah. And it kind of pushes you through it.
Well, we're talking about writing. Why don't you give us a little bit about the books you've written and the stuff that you've done?
The current official release is still Silence is Crimson. Some people might recognize that as a previous book / movie called The Mime. And it is a complete rewrite from the ground up of that project. The whole concept basically is there's a guy that's basically been treated like shit his entire life. The people that he cares about, he gives them everything. Like they're everything to him. He'll sacrifice himself for it. The cool thing about him is he does a lot of community work, and he does a lot of community work as a mime. That's one of the few things that he enjoys, is just getting out there with his two closest friends and being silly for the night and just being a mime for the community. And everything comes to a head when a group of hecklers decide to make fun of him, which turns into a situation where a woman gets stabbed and he ends up getting beat to death and thrown in the sewer. While down there, he discovers a creature that's actually been beneath the sewer system in Riverside, Ohio for over 100 years, just waiting for an opportunity. And it forces itself into him against his will and then controls his actions. It's sort of it's definitely Lovecraftian, and it's definitely instead of comedy horror, I would say horror comedy, because the hit is really on the horror, and I use the comedy to lure you into that false sense of security to make you think, oh, this crazy, terrible thing happened, but I can breathe now. But I do that just to hit you with something 10 times harder immediately after.
Nice.
So there's a lot of panic.
Wonderful.
Well, thank you. But I am doing the sequel to that one now. It was supposed to come out this year, so is part 3. But things got shifted around, so parts 2 and 3 will be out next year. And the full audio drama, which is what we're going to do instead of an audiobook for part 1, starts recording over the winter this coming year.
Nice, nice. And where can that be found at if they wanted to get a copy of that in hand?
You can find anything I do at raztslasher.com. I post links to my personal books. I'm in over a dozen anthologies. I got another one coming out here, I think soon, a double edition with a lovely group of people over at Fake Horror Publishing. And I list all of those as well. And I also offer a lot of free stories that I just sort of write and either put up on Reddit and then I'll copy it over to my website, just because not a lot of people know how to use Reddit these days. So I figured if there was an easier spot for them to check out, I got it there in blog form. And I sometimes keep up with like a daily writing life and like why I write certain things sort of blog, but I'm a little behind on that part.
Yeah. That's us on posting on every social media, just in the sheer hope that one person missed it because they don't have this, or that.
It's a pain in the ass, a total pain in the ass.
So tell me about the Owl Light Society.
Yes, I want to know about that. What is that?
So the Owl Light Society is this creepy little thing I'm working on that I might hopefully come to fruition in the very near future, that's based on telling stories to people. And that might sound like a simple thing, but the truth is people have forgotten how to talk to each other. And it started before COVID, and then it kind of expanded in a really dangerous way because so many people, they might interact online, but they forgot what human connections were. And the Owl Light Society is about getting people together, even if it's virtually by webcam or what have you, but just telling stories again. Primarily, I'm leaning more towards traditional campfire stories and horror, but there's a lot of room in there for just personal connections and personal stories about the life you had when you grew up or your childhood. But it's really important to me that people start reconnecting, and I thought doing it under the guise of horror and campfire tales would be the best way to get people to talking to each other again.
Hell yeah. Can I make a general observation with a question to follow?
Sure.
Sounds like you've lost a lot of faith in humanity, Raz.
I have almost none in humanity, if I'm being completely honest with you. But I think I'm sure a lot of that is the way I grew up in the life I've led. But I've been in the entertainment industry for over 2 decades. And actually, longer than that if you count the haunts and a lot of the early stuff I did. But for decades now, I've done haunting. I toured with a band as the front man. I've been in film. I've been a wrestler. I've been a lot of things. And I feel like I've seen a lot of the world and the people in it. And while I do believe there are a lot of great people out there, the general attitude of the public and just the world in the way it is today, it's not really a great place. But that gives me the opportunity.
A lot of people reflect your sentiment. I hear it every day. And I get to the notion of fear that speaking Freddy Krueger into existence makes him exist.
A tulpa. Yeah, man. So like the way I look at it is I'm seeing this. I don't like it, but I can either sit here and complain about it and woe is me, the world sucks now, or I can do something like the Owl Light Society and I can get in there and I can find ways and other people that are also interested and I can make the change. I can get people talking again and confronting things they might not have confronted before, be it their fears or something about themselves or whatever it is, but I can do it while we entertain them, and that makes the medicine go down a lot smoother.
Yeah.
I like that way of thinking.
Yeah. Be the change you want to see, man.
Yeah, yep. Hell yeah, exactly. So
I was wondering, you said it says on here that you were inspired by Poe and King and Lovecraft and also your mom. Is there any other inspirations that you have today?
Clive Barker is definitely on that list, big time.
Oh, okay, yeah, yes.
I honestly think the most inspiring thing in my entire life that I probably need to update that bio and put on there was my grandma that passed last year. She's the reason why I'm a storyteller. We grew up with her telling stories about everything. And probably the greatest thing she ever did, I was 4 years old, and we were camping, and she sat by the fire all day cutting shapes out of newspaper, and you'd ask her what it was for, and she'd say, "Oh, don't worry about it, you'll find out." And then that night, and it was my first like big camping trip with my family because I was finally old enough to go. And we're all laying down in the tent, and she wants to tell us one of her funny or creepy or weird stories. And it's a story about how these kids and their family were murdered in a tent on this very campground 10 years ago, and it's the anniversary of that night. And just like that night, it was a windy evening, and she made the sound of the wind and everything. She was really into storytelling.
That's awesome.
And she said, and tonight is the night when you usually see their ghosts floating above the tent. And she shined the flashlight up. She had taken and was cutting out outlines of bodies and was sticking them on top of the tent when we weren't paying attention. And that's what she shined her flashlight on above us. We screamed and ran out of that tent, and we're too terrified to go back in the tent for like an hour. And ever since that day at 4 years old, I knew that's what I wanted to do. Like, telling stories was me, and that was my life. And it has been literally ever since.
Well, your grandmother sounds like she was an amazing woman.
She totally was, man.
I love it.
So, on the idea of where all people can find you at, would you like to drop as many of your socials as you can throw out?
But man, I'll tell you, I have almost none. It's literally, you can find me at Raz T Slasher on Facebook. You can find me at RazTSlasher.com. Or, man, I haven't used that name in a while. Oh, my Reddit name is It Sees You.
Nice.
And of course, I hang out with you guys there at R.O.T.N, Psycho Bunny Death Cult. That's what I do when I'm literally not at the haunt.
And I've seen you on a lot of the Psycho Bunny Death Cult lives, and I love the shit out of them. And they have such a great production value. They do such amazing stories and serial killer knowledge, and they're a fucking badass group of people.
It's definitely a lot of fun, man. Like, I was just showing up to do just an interview. I was on my interview circuit for the year doing book stuff and haunt stuff. And they're one of the people that, just had interested and got a hold of me. And it went from me being on a show with them until like literally the next day getting a message going, yeah, well, you clicked with us really well and we have an opening. And we were wondering if we could just randomly pull you in when you were free. And I'm like, yeah. And I've just sort of been doing that with them for a while. And now I'm kind of a regular now on You Can't Sit With Us, which is a serial killer thing. And I do some Roots Bleed Red stuff with them. And then I just support whatever lives they're doing at the time. But it's been a lot of fun for me to just get out of myself for a while and not worry about the drama in life. And just get on a microphone and a webcam and just bullshit.
That's fucking awesome.
Love it.
Yeah, we avoid drama like the plague. We just pretend like it doesn't exist.
Yeah, we are not involved in any of that, and we just distance ourselves from it and don't even worry about it.
I try so hard to be. You guys know me. I try so hard to be, and most of the time I'm successful. So when I do see it, I just let it be known that I see it, and then that's all I got to do. I see it, and then that's where I'm at, and I walk away.
And that's the best way to be, because I promise you, all things, you've been in the haunt community for so long. There are people in the haunt community that thrive off of that garbage.
Yep. And those are the people you see for a couple years, and then they just flame out and you never hear about them again.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But okay, so you've dropped your socials, you've dropped that you're on Psycho Bunny Death Cult. Is there anything else you'd like to plug in the ways of getting your, like, if you have merch or anywhere else they can find anything else that you do?
Yeah, like your stories, anything that you sell. Do you have anywhere that they can buy it or download it?
See, I got really smart about all that, and I put every single bit of that, every link that could possibly exist, all on RazTSlasher.com, because I've had a lot of stories narrated professionally by YouTubers. I've done a number of things with got a couple big podcasts, man, a couple really big ones, and I've actually gotten permission to grab the links, and those are all free to listen to. So there's a whole section just for audio, for interviews. Like, I literally have treated my website like an actual resume for my life.
Nice. Just
to make it easier for people to say, oh, well, I don't have all the social, I'm not on here. But you know what you can do? You can type in RazTSlasher.com, and that solves all your problems.
Hell
And
yeah.
Yes,
Well, that's actually really, really smart.
it is.
it's less work I got to do, and people can't make the excuse of, I can't find you.
Right? And it's literally the name. So all you got to do is the name and .com, motherfuckers.
Yep. And that will hopefully be my legal name as of next year as well, so it'll be even easier.
Oh, yes.
That's awesome.
Oh, that makes me happy. I love it.
Well, dude, unless you want to throw anything else out there, man, we'll go ahead and wrap. If you got anything else you want to say to the audience.
If I had to say anything, I would say, like, if you're looking to be a writer, the best thing you can do is be a reader. Be a good reader. It's hard to do. I've got dyslexia that's pretty bad, and I've trained myself to where I can read a Stephen King book, like, full on in about 5 or 6 days. There's a lot of work to it. Become a good reader. Don't ever stop writing once you start, and also develop a thick skin, because you're going to hear no. Even as an actor, even as a haunt actor, all these things you want to do in entertainment, you're going to hear no 1,000 times. But you do that 1,000 times, because that one time you hear yes is that one moment in your life that you'll remember forever. And trust me, it is worth it.
Great advice. Well, man, it has been a fucking honor and a pleasure. I'm glad we finally got you on one of these fucking podcasts, and that
Yeah,
it
I'm
was
happy about it.
just pure chaos and screaming the whole time.
I did my best. Hey, I was good.
God,
Well,
the Smokey and Blinky episode we just had was
Yeah.
fucking insane. Like, one guy's on the phone. It was chaos. It was chaos.
Pure chaos, and I loved it, and I love this too. It's all good. Everything is different, and I love it.
They've gotten used to here, like when they know that I'm going to record, that everybody generally stays fairly quiet, because I do it a lot. So they've kind of gotten used to it. I need to get a light that just says on air and comes on, so I don't even have to communicate it.
Right? Dude, just put a box around you like you're in a radio network.
I kind of want to, because my office is literally in the bedroom. So
Well, Raz, it's an honor to have you on the podcast. It is an honor to call you a rotten brother, my man.
oh yeah.
Thank you.
And fucking thank you for everything you've done. I know that you're working on the website for us, and you've come up with some other stuff, which I will be getting to, I promise. It's just got super fucking stupid busy.
It has.
Dude, between the convention and now haunt season amping up, everything is flux for everyone right now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and the convention gave everybody COVID, so that was a hoot.
Yes, I was.
Yeah, I was gonna secretly show up to that because I have a night costume with like this really cool Viking skull mask. I was gonna try and show up and just fuck with you guys and leave, but I ended up getting held up, and now I'm kind of glad I did, because
Right?
man,
You saved yourself.
Well, as we always say to everybody on here, Raz, stay rotten and keep doing what you do, brother.
Yes,
Oh,
stay
yeah.
rotten.
always.
Much love, Raz.
It was so great talking to Raz tonight. It was just a wonderful episode.
I agree. Nice to hear about his expertise in haunting and writing and all of his
Yes,
oh my God,
yes,
all of
I'm
his
sorry.
background stuff. I mean, he's just a
I
phenomenal
had a
dude.
seizure.
Definitely.
And
I
Grim
was
had a
happy.
seizure. Grim was happy. Yay, we're all happy. Anyway, stay rotten.
Stay rotten.